Another critical part of the diversity visa lottery is children. There is a question which asks you number of children you have. So you are supposed to put the number. If you don't have any child, you put 0. If you put 1, if you put 0, your application will be just 1 page, and then you say confirm, then submit, because that is the last part of the application. If you say you have 1 child, you put 1, the application will open page 2. It will give the 1 space to add your child, 1 child. If you say you have 2 children, it will give 2 options, like 2 name of the child, gender, place of birth, and the photo of the child. There is no passport information of the dependents. Then, if you say you have 3 children, it opens 3. That's why I say on marital status, there is no, by default is 1, because there is no polygamy in America. But more than 1, if you put 1 child, 1 spouse. 2 children, 2 areas. 3 children, it will keep adding the application. There is no problem with that. Usually I tell people, in order to hurry, to make sure that you apply as soon as possible, make sure your photos are already in order to meet all the requirements. So you don't need it all. They say a picture of the child. Let me go and find a picture of the child. No, make sure that you have all those information ready to go before you go to apply. So, children. The information required for the children is a passport photo, just like the photo of the main applicant. We'll talk about the photo. Must meet all the requirements. 2, the application. When you say you have a child, you have to put the gender, place of birth, date of birth, all those information. Children, number 1 requirement, must be under the age of 21 on the day of application, and unmarried. If a child is 18 years old, 17 years old, 20 years old, is married, that child doesn't qualify to be added in the list of the dependents in the application. If your child is 21 years old on the day of application, that means he's 21 and above, is not under the age of 21. When you put in the date of birth of that particular child, it will not accept, because it will tell you the child is above the age of 20. The child is 21. The child must be under the age of 20, 21, and married. So if you add your child and is 21, that means you had to lie, and that is a critical big mistake. You will be denied the visa, because when you are going to the application, they will see the date of birth, place of date of birth, the birth certificate, they will see the passport. All those will have the date which is different from the one you are deceiving, you are lying, you are committing a fraud. So a child must be under the age of 21, unmarried, to be included. And who is the child who is supposed to be there? Apart from to be under the age of 21 and unmarried, the child must be biological child, your child. That's number 1. If it's not your child, it must be a stepchild. There is no place you say stepchild. I will describe that one. So if you get married, legal married to a person A, and that person, either is a man or a woman, has children, once you get married, those are your stepchildren. And they don't need to have your name to be your stepchildren. You will add them. And their father or their mother can apply on the other side, and they will add their biological children. There is no problem with that. Or you can have the children you can add, it must be adopted children. Adoption, legal adoption. Don't go to take the child of your relative and add them there. That is not allowed. There is one person 2 weeks ago asked me, has been denied the visa. I was on live. The reason being denied the visa, because added the stepchild during the visa application, but the stepchild was not included during the lottery application. And when the person went there, he said, on the application, you say you don't have a child, but now you come with a child, so you are denied the visa. If you go to read the instruction, number 14, 13, 14 and 15 about children and marital status. On the children says, adding a child who is not your child, but not your child meaning is not adopted child by the legal ways, by the court of law, is not your stepchild, is not your biological child, adding the friend child or any child over there, or not adding your child and you bring that you have a child, you will be disqualified on the visa interview. So the person was denied the visa because didn't add that child. Say, oh, when I got to add there is no place they say stepchild. There is no place saying stepchild, or there is no place saying adopted child. The child is supposed to be added is a stepchild, is supposed to be a biological child or adopted child by the legal. You have a court documentation that you have legally adopted that particular child. There is another person, I'm giving these cases so that you can understand. There is one father applied for the DV lottery. The father has a child. The child is 19 years old. So he added that he has a child. That child has a child. So that means the father, that one is a granddaughter. Because the father of that person impregnated the teenager was not part of the life, the child has the name of this grandfather. So that grandfather went ahead and added that part as his child. The person was denied the visa. That's not your child. You cannot bring the grandchild. So if you are applying, you say you have a child, you can come with that child. If that child has a child, that other child cannot come. This is not a caravan route, you bring everybody. No, it's father, mother, and a child. Not father, mother, grandfather, granddaughter, whatever, grandson, whatever, great-grandchildren, no. So you will come, the person will come with a green card, and the person, if that the child has a child, will sponsor that one in a different route, but not through a lottery means. So there is no problem if a child has a child, but that child with a child, the other child who is the grandson, granddaughter, will not come along, will not be included, because the winner will be allowed to come with the dependents. Dependents is only children and spouse. One spouse, not spouses, you come with 3 husbands or 3 wives, no. One. And the children must be biological or stepchildren or legal adopted children. Adding a person who's not your child, putting 0 while you are not having child, you will be denied. So make sure, especially for the people who live far away from their family, make sure you have the photos. Even if you live with them, the kids are in boarding school, make sure you have the photos before you go to apply. The background of the photo is white. I know some of the countries, the passport photos background is blue or red. Make sure the passport background is white. So don't make a mistake. Make sure that you add the appropriate child. That is very critical. I'll be coming to talk about it, but I'm not planning to come with a child. Still in the application, you have to add them. Even if you don't have plan. Even if you don't plan to come with your spouse, you have to add your correct marital status, whether you're planning to come with them or not. We'll be talking about it in the future, down the road. What if I want to come alone, then my family to come later? What will be the process? But at the moment, in the application, you haven't won, you have to add them. Whether you have conflict with the spouse, you don't agree with them, but is your spouse, you have to add, your child, you have to add them. No matter what, as long as they are under the age of 21 and unmarried. Whether they live with you, whether they live with their parents. Because you can get married to someone, or you can have a child, the child lives with the mother, or the child lives with the father, but it still is your child. You have to add. It doesn't matter whether the child lives with you, or the child lives with the grandparents, or they live with the other parent. It doesn't matter. The point is your child. That's what matters.